we're not interested, and the door closes in your face. So how do you overcome this? Well, in this video, I'm going to teach you 2 methods to convert people that tell you they're not interested into either hot leads or closed sales. Now, before we get started, I just need to give a little disclaimer. There are no magic cures in sales, because you and I both know, if you've been in door-to-door sales, that there are some people that as they're saying we're not interested, the door's being slammed in your face like right then. And there's nothing that you could do to change that. In fact, I mean nothing, because you and I have probably dealt with those types of people where you could like show up at their house, be like, I have a bag full of money, you won the lottery, and we're doing your roof for free. And they're still not satisfied, and they still want to kick you off their property. So the good news is that's actually empowering to hear. So many of us are like, oh, well, I'm upsetting people, blah, blah. It doesn't matter. Why doesn't it matter? Because every time you hear the words, we're not interested, by the end of this video, you're going to have 2 methods that you can use to overcome that. And you should start practicing this on every single door, because you have nothing to lose on the folks that are never going to change. But what you get to gain is repetition and experience trying it. So when it does work, oh man, it's going to be gold. And you're going to have hot leads that are going to be like, okay, that makes sense. So I can't wait to get into this video. So what are we waiting for? Let's get started. All right, welcome back. Adam Bensman here, and I'm so excited to be joining you in this video. Listen, if you're watching this video, it tells me that you're either an owner, manager, running a sales team, or you're new in sales. Maybe you've been doing this for a while. So no matter who you are, jump inside my free training center right now. There's absolutely no catch, and I have a ton of free training in there for you, including an entire playlist of videos dedicated to canvassing, door knocking, and pitching. So hop in there right now. Now, let's get into this getting rejected with we're not interested. First, I need to address the elephant in the room, which is one of the most common rebuttals that I hear being taught in the door-to-door industry. When someone says, we're not interested, you rebuttal with something to the effect of, what do you mean you're not interested? I haven't shared with you what I have to offer, so how could you be interested? So something to that effect. Now, the way that I view this is combative. It's like a rebuttal. And I really want to like scrape the word rebuttal from our objection handling training, because a rebuttal to me is an argument. That's why I teach the ARO, objection handling formula: acknowledge, reassure, overcome. And the companies, by the way, that are using this or want to use it, you can get access as an exclusive member of the Roofing and Solar Reform Alliance. So the Roof Strategist sales system is now available exclusively to members of RSRA. And you can get access to this entire training center and philosophy. And the reason that we don't use that rebuttal is it's like throwing a right hook. You said this, and I'm like, boom, and I'm like punching you right back with like, you said this, no, I'm right. And then now we're arguing with someone at the door. And to me, that's not how I want to make people feel or how I want to conduct sales. Now, on the flip side, we use the ARO formula, and we can actually take that rebuttal, and similar to Aikido. So I know there's probably like 4 people that might be watching who know what Aikido is. I didn't know until I went to this hippie school out in Boulder, Colorado. But Aikido is a martial art form that uses the attacker, the opponent's energy against them. So example, if I go to punch you, and instead of you trying to block and punch back, you take that punch on my arm and take that inertia of me throwing the punch, grab my arm, and then throw me over your shoulder. So it's using that opponent's energy with them as opposed to fighting them. And what that allows is for a very, let's say a small statured person, when there's a giant coming at you, to just take their energy and let their energy be the one that is being used against them. And I'm not teaching objection handling in a combative fashion. I'm just saying, like, work with the prospect who's giving you the objection. So what we want to do instead is agree with them. And if we realize the facts, which are that the majority of people that we serve, for most contractors, and your results may vary, but for many of the guys and gals that I work with who are working storm damage claims, majority of the people, I've heard up to 90 to 95% of the homeowners they work with had no idea that the roof was even damaged before the salesperson showed up, did the inspection, and showed them everything. So wouldn't it be fair to say that most people weren't interested? Yeah, they weren't until they saw the photos and videos, which is exactly what we're going to do. So your first method of attack is this: agree. Remember that. Agree with what they say. Hey, we're not interested. Hey, I don't blame you for not being interested. Peggy or most of my customers weren't interested either until they saw the videos and photos that I took and showed them so they could see it with their very own eyes. And now what I've done is I agree with them. Hey, I don't blame you. I wouldn't be interested either. In fact, most of my customers weren't until they saw the photos and videos with their very own eyes. And I'm going to break down the psychology of this before we move on to method number 2. Now, method number 1 is when we agree with them, I wouldn't be interested either, and most of my customers weren't. Now we're, again, disarming them. They're like, oh, wait a minute, this guy's not trying to force something on me. So they get put at ease. It's called disarming. Next, it's called opening a loop. A loop is a concept that is incomplete. And I'll give you an example. Imagine you're watching a action movie and it's on TV, right? And like the guy is backed up to the cliff and there's a gun to his head and he's looking at it, he's like, oh man, how do I get out of this one? And then they cut to commercial break. The reason they cut to the commercial break right there is we have an open loop, meaning what's going to happen to the guy on the edge of the cliff. So that's opening a loop. And that's why we watch through the commercial like, man, I got to know what happens. I got to know what happens. So when I let that homeowner know, hey, they weren't interested either until they saw the photos and videos I took with their own eyes. Now they're thinking what photos, what videos, and what am I going to see with my own eyes? And again, I'm disarming them even further by saying, you're going to see this with your own eyes and be your own judge. Whether you work with me or someone else, I'll walk you through those options. Again, you'll see how much I use disarming techniques in my door-to-door approach to put that homeowner at ease and not feel like I'm cramming a solution down their throat that they need to buy for me, where instead I'm saying, hey, I'm here to act as an advisor. Here's what's going on. Here's your options. And when you do that really well, you're the obvious choice, okay? So again, method number 1, agree with them. Hey, totally understand. Peggy wasn't interested either. In fact, 80% of my customers or 90% of my customers weren't until they saw the photos and videos with their own eyes. Okay, so there's your first method. Now, your second method is there are some people who simply aren't interested for the very same reason that you might not have been. Why? A complete stranger showed up at their house, unannounced, with something to offer. And they might just say, I'm not interested. They're the kind of people that will say, I want to do my homework. I want to reach out to someone. I don't want to work with someone who shows up at my door. And for many of us, like that customer is out. But this, my friend, is an advanced technique and it's available. You can run with this concept, but this exact method is available exclusively to members of the Roofing and Solar Reform Alliance. And that, my friend, is a guide. It's called the Sniff the Scum Out, the insider's guide to choosing the right roofing and solar contractor. So method number 2 is your, what I call backup offer. And it goes like this. Hey, Mr. Homeowner, listen, I completely respect it. I'm a complete stranger showing up at your door. And you have a lot of guys and gals like me showing up talking about your roof. And you don't know who to trust. You want to do your own homework. Now, I don't blame you. Listen, we're a member of the Roofing and Solar Reform Alliance. And the Reform Alliance has put together a guide. It's called the Sniff the Scum Out, the insider's guide to choose the right roofing and solar contractor. I'm more than happy to send that to you. Would you prefer if I text or email it to you? And just like that, you now give them the option to say, would you prefer if I text or email? That's what's called an options close. You have this choice or this choice. And the homeowner, when they respond, they say, hey, text it to me or email it to me. Now you have the link as a member of RSRA, and you can say, okay, great. So I got this text, and what was your name? Okay, Peggy, fantastic. Peggy, I'm gonna send this over, and bingo. Now you've sent that over. You have Peggy's contact information for a follow-up or her email, and she's gonna read this guide, which was put together by a third party with the accreditation and credibility as a pledging member of the Roofing and Solar Reform Alliance with your logo on their website as a member directory. And now RSRA is positioning you as the authority and again, a much more trusted organization than if you showed up and said, hey, I'm different, I'm better. Because now RSRA and our public-facing website, by the way, which is rsra.org, is doing the selling for you. So you, my friend, can differentiate yourself and win big. Because after all, members of RSRA were working together to outsell, outgrow, and outcompete the rest as we stomp the scum out. So if you're one of us or want to become one of us, click the link in the description to set up your private tour and learn more. I know you might be thinking though, you're like, well, Adam, what if I'm not a member? First, you should be. Second of all, if you're not, maybe you want to experiment with this on your own. Maybe you're an individual sales rep and it's beyond your ability to become a member, which by the way, if that's you and you want to be connected with a great company, then email help@roofstrategist.com your info, and we'll post that in our group and help connect you with a member, okay? Now, back on track here. You can produce this on your own if you wish. What you need to do is is write a guide or an article that is a consumer-focused support article, and you need to get it designed, make it look really sharp, and host it on a website. And now you can use the same resource and now say, hey, I completely understand. We've put together a guide for you. Would you prefer if I text or email it to you? So you can use this method if you're not one of us, but coming from a third party, it objectively is more powerful. Now, I hope this video helps. You have two methods now to tackle the "we're not interested" objection at the door. Method number one, agree with them. And method number two, provide more information via text or email so you can then convert that lead into getting their information, sending more information over, and then now you've got their info to follow up and get the appointment set. Hey, thanks for joining me in today's video. If you want more videos on door knocking, jump into my free training center right now or hang with me here on YouTube. I picked out a video that I think you, my friend, are really gonna like. I'll see you in the next one.